And we're, hi everyone, and welcome to episode number 45 of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. This show was created as a safe space where cancer patients, cancer survivors, and cancer supporters all come together to share their stories and connect, as well as find resources that provide healing, hope, and resilience. My name is 𝗕𝗢𝗏, a 15-plus-year cancer survivor, host of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer, and a live streaming producer and coach for nonprofits, businesses, and entrepreneurs who make a positive impact in the world.
Hi,
and
everyone.
Over to you.
Yeah, I am Angelica Campbell. I am a 4-year breast cancer survivor. I am also a longtime childhood cancer volunteer. I currently lead a nonprofit helping kids with cancer and their families. And I'm also considered a cancer orphan after losing my mom to breast cancer nearly 20 years ago. I'm also a dancer. So I saw Zach in the comments said the intro music is like the thing. Zach, I don't know if you saw, but like I knocked over my light as I was dancing prior to the show. So that is my background. Thank you so much for joining us. We are delighted you're here. Please show up in the comments. Let us know where you are tuning in from and what is your connection to cancer. One of the most exciting and meaningful things of this show is how we come together as a community and support each other. So give a shout out to anybody else you see in the chat, make a new friend, say hello to somebody you already know, and let's continue to build community. So we encourage you to connect with others in the chat.
Yes, we definitely encourage you to do that. Before we bring our guest on for this week, who has gotten up super early where she is because she is on the other side of the world, I just want to mention to everyone, I want to remind everyone that the new date for the in-person Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer event is Saturday, November 5th. It's the same time from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. here in Pennsylvania, and you can go to perspectivesoncancer.com to sign up for free. It is still in partnership with the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society and all of our sponsors, including the 𝗕𝗢𝗏 𝗏 Foundation, of which Angelica Campbell is the executive director of. So thank you, Angelica Campbell. So big shout out to 𝗕𝗢𝗏 𝗏 Foundation, Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, and all of our 24 sponsors for the event. You can find the link.
24 sponsors, Tim? That's amazing.
24 sponsors. Thank you. Yes. Awesome. Thank you to all of them. Yes. So you can find the link in the comments if you'd like to sign up for the event. Come share your cancer story. Come feel inspired. Come be supported. Come support others on November 5th here in Pennsylvania. So Angelica, who is our guest for this week? I'm so excited.
Yes, our guest is Angelica Alen. A reminder, she is from Australia. She's gotten up super early to be here. So massive shout out to her. Her connection to cancer is that she is a stage 3 bowel cancer survivor. She's also a quantum health coach, and it is going to be an incredibly inspiring, impactful, and informational chat today. So Tim, let's bring her on the show.
Let's do it. Hello,
Hi,
Angelica.
everyone.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
I am so excited. I was dancing here, looking at the chat, getting super excited, partying at 4:30 in the morning.
You're my hero, friend.
Oh,
Oh
this is
my
awesome. Thank you. No,
gosh.
no, the chat is getting me so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, everybody tuning in and commenting. This is very,
Yes.
very awesome. That's awesome. I'm very, very excited to be here. Thank you so much
Well,
for, doing this. This is amazing.
well, we're so grateful for you showing up on our show and everyone who shows up on the show every week. We have such a wonderful community of people who show up. And actually, how you ended up on the show here is that a previous guest on our show, Alexandra McCarthy, she had connected us about something kind of completely different. And we
Yeah.
started sharing our cancer stories. And here we are on the show.
Exactly. Yes, it's amazing how the synchronicities of life happen, right?
Yes, definitely. So thank you so much for being on the show. And I just want to go to the comments briefly and thank people who are tuning in. We have Jennifer is here. She says, hello, everyone. So thanks for being here, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
Zach is here. We brought up his comment before. He said, intro music gave me a better boost than my cold brew. I might have to take a screenshot of that one, Zach. I mean, that's a pretty legendary
I'm with you,
comment.
Zach.
Shannon is here. Shannon's here pretty much every week. Thanks for being here again, Shannon. She says, good afternoon, all. Thank you, Shannon, for being here.
Thanks, Shannon.
Zach says he wasn't going to tell anyone. You weren't going to tell anyone about that the intro music gave you a better
About your
boost
dancing?
than
Oh.
your
Yeah.
brew? Oh, well, the secret's
Safe
out.
space,
The
Zach.
secret's out. Yes. And Zach is actually going to be at the in-person event coming up on November 5th. So you guys don't want to miss it.
Cool.
I mean, Angelica, you should come to Pennsylvania.
I know. I know. A bit short notice for me, but I wish I knew before.
Yeah, I know.
It might take all that time to get all the way there.
Right. It might. Jennifer says she's a 13-year breast cancer survivor. So
way to go, Jennifer.
Thank you for sharing, Jennifer. Zach says his connection is he has family and friends who are battling and who have battled, and one just recently that hit him pretty hard. So sending you
love, Zach.
Love for sure. Tom Tressler is here. He is here so often.
Tom.
He's here from Cincinnati. A LinkedIn user is here. LinkedIn user, let us know who you are. He says he is in DC and he's worked in oncology, genomics on the scientific side, and would like to be more connected on the human side. Well, you are in the right place. We get pretty human here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
I used to live in DC,
Very
so
human.
shout out to our nation's capital.
Yes, definitely. Ivan is here. He says, hi, Tim and Erica. Welcome, everyone, and high five. Well, high five right back to you.
High five. Ivan.
And Elise is here from South Africa. Welcome, Elise. Stefan is here to supporty. Thank you, supporty. BFAM. That means brother from another mother. Thank you for being here. Stefan's my good friend. Thank you for being here, Stefan. And Zach is saying no, that Erica knocked over the light. Well, she did a great job doing it. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, thank you everyone for showing up. And just one more. Rich is here again. Thank you for being here, Rich. He says he's a 4-year survivor of stage 4 colorectal cancer and sitting in the chemo room with his mom for breast cancer treatment right now. Wow, Rich, thank you so much for being here. And we're sending love to you and your mom right now.
100%.
Wow.
Whew.
Wow. Anyway,
well, I'll kick off, Tim. I am excited to hear from Angelica and tell us more about your story. So, Angelica, you are a bowel cancer survivor, diagnosed in 2018, and we discovered you and I got diagnosed almost the same month, perhaps like a week or two apart in 2018. Yeah. Take us back to life for you before cancer. What was your work life, and what was life just in general like before cancer?
Wow. When I embodied it, old Angelica, I feel a lot of compassion for that person. I
Mm.
was working, stressed out to the bone, like so stressed out all the time. My kids were still little, they were 6 and 4, working full time, very high pressure job. I used to work in recruitment. I was angry. I held on to a lot of resentment.
Mm.
I was just scattered, like I couldn't be present. Um, I was just not living in this body as well. I think, that's how I can describe it. It's so hard to describe it, but when I go back, I see almost like the zombie going around, going from one job to another, but not really living, you know, her real life. Um, but I just kept pushing. That's all I knew to do it. And I just kept going. And in regards to kind of, lots of people ask me, were you in pain? Were you in, your blood tests were like going crazy? And it's just like, no, like I had, um, I was iron deficient. I had been iron deficient for a year, and I was taking iron tablets, which is very common for women that find out that they have bowel cancer a little bit later on, like mine, stage 3, stage 4, because of course, when you're iron deficient, they believe that it could be because of your periods, and when you have heavy periods, they're like, okay, well, that's what's happening. And I was taking the iron tablets, and as soon as I would stop them, I would get iron deficient again, but I didn't have any pain. My blood test results as I entered the emergency, hospital just before my surgery, there was no tumor marker shown. There was nothing, white cells going up. There was nothing that would show that I was a stage 3 bowel cancer kind of candidate. So yeah, so that's it was kind of a slow process of the exhaustion was the only thing, but like, was I going to go to the doctor and say, hey, my name's Angelica, I'm a working mom and I'm exhausted? I mean, who does that?
Right. Yeah. I
So
have
then,
to say
I mean,
that
you
I
should
Angelica,
do,
identify
by
with a
the
lot
way,
of
you
things you
should
said.
do that. By the way, you should do that. Don't, try to be brave like myself. I mean, my exhaustion was beyond, like, it wasn't just like I was tired. It was just beyond. But that would say it was the only recurrent symptom for the whole year.
what were you going to say, Erica?
No, just how much I identify with that. And I think what landed for me is that you actually have compassion for that person. That's what you started with.
Yeah.
And I currently have a lot of
Yeah.
stress, so anyway, and a working mom, and you get tired. So I
Yeah.
really identify with what you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until later on that, I started almost like walking back to myself, to my body, that I found compassion to that person, and I realized what I was doing. Because, if you had, shaken me before, I don't think I would have woken up. I was
Mm.
like hardcore living zombie. Only something really, daring, like a stage 3 bowel cancer diagnosis was going to wake me up. And I think that's unfortunately what it took me, and I think that um for me it's so important to share my story, because this is what I want to shake people before that moment. There is so much we can do before that moment, that even if I had done that 6 months earlier, it could have been stage 2. I mean, there were so many things, that, but we just, we still live in a society that keeps pushing, that, although there is a lot of talks about mental health and preventative health and looking after ourselves, the reality is, I think there is still so much pressure, to accomplish more, to do more, to become more, that it takes an enormous amount of courage to go, I'm done, I'm exhausted, I feel I'm burned out, I'm gonna go to the doctors and say, I'm a mom that is beyond tired, please help me, and let's investigate this further. So, that kind of thing, that although I think there is a lot more talks about in our society, and I think it is really taking responsibility, each of us, to go, enough is enough.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that.
Does that resonate with you too, Erica, as a mom also?
100%. Yeah. And, not to get, this isn't about me, but just
I know.
that race, that rat race that I feel like I get caught up in. To be honest, Angelica, I feel like you're actually taking me by the shoulders right now personally and shaking me a little bit, because your story lands. We have kids about the same age. And I was sharing with Tim before the show, like, I've been just like pushing for the last several months, and it's wearing me down. So I just thank you for saying that. And I'm going to be listening extra hard as a working mom today.
Yeah. Oh, amazing. Beautiful.
So Angelica, you were saying that you were really tired, but then how did you actually find out that you had cancer?
So because when I had this iron deficiency going, this anemia, as soon as I stopped taking the iron tablets, and I would get anemic again, my doctor said, okay, well, we need to investigate this. So I'm going to refer you to the gynecologist and to the gastroenterologist, to see, what can we do about both, kind of matters, because if it's because of the heavy periods, the gynecologist can have a look at it, and the gastroenterologist, I think, we need to do that, because by then I would say my bowel movements had started changing a bit, and she was, concerned about that. And about 2 months before my diagnosis, I kind of started feeling really, really like really beyond exhausted, and still keeping pushing through. And I kind of started feeling generally not well. And there was this day that I woke up. I had my husband's aunt visiting from the UK, and she kept saying to me, "You need to go to the ER. You need to go to the ER. You need to go to the ER." And I thought, what are they gonna do? Like, seriously, like. And it was my daughter's birthday, and on Friday I spent the whole day organizing the birthday, making cakes, all that stuff that moms do. And I braved the party, and as soon as the party was finished, I had in my mind, I woke up on that day, I couldn't eat. I didn't feel like eating, and I am a good eater. I eat a lot. So I thought, there is something not right with me. I just literally can't eat. And I said to my husband, you need to drop me at ER. And when I got dropped off, they were like, I look like this, and they were like, what's wrong with you? Which they have to do. It's their job. They need to screen people for, they said we get people with, pains in their tummy all the time, but it turns out that it's mental health related. We can't fast track you to do a colonoscopy. I know you're waiting, and, all that kind of stuff. And then after an hour of literally grilling me, this doctor said, okay, I'll put you through the CT machine, because they don't want to put you through the CT because it's radiation. They want to make sure that they're doing the right thing. So when he put me through the CT, he just looked at it. He said, "Oh my God, like, I can't believe that you're still standing." Like, the column is kind of on the right side. It was completely, and sorry to be graphic, backed up with feces, and closer to the rectum, my bowel had gone inside itself.
Oh my
And
God.
although they looked at it and they thought, well, it could be a polyp, they were kind of, but because I felt nauseous and I kept feeling nauseous, they kept every single day. I stayed in the hospital. Every single day they were like, okay, how do you feel? And I'm like, nauseous. I feel nauseous. They were like, okay, well, we need to start thinking that this is a bit more serious. But most of the doctors, they were very scared to operate me because of all the feces on one side. If that went everywhere, it could have killed me. So I was really blessed and lucky that one of the senior consultants looked at my paperwork from home. It was Easter, and he said, I can come in, I can do this laparoscopy, and I won't go through the feces, and I can take the cancer out and rejoin the bowel. And I mean, this man absolutely saved my life. He did an incredible job. He went in, it was like a 6 hours surgery. And he went in, took the cancer out, and he knew from day dot, as soon as he looked at the paperwork, this is stage 3 cancer. Like, he knew it. And when he came in and, after the surgery, he said, the surgery went really well. but, did they tell you what we found? And I said, no. And he said, no, we definitely found a tumor. And I said, is there any chance it's benign? And he said, I'm really sorry. It's not. And you're going to need 12 sessions of chemotherapy. And that was it. He left us, my husband and I, have this bombshell. And I was like, oh my God, like, how did I even get here? And, I had kind of walked away from God at that point, but I just had to ask. I was like, God, please tell me why. And at that moment, I did receive an answer. And God said, you need to forgive your family. And I've been trying to tell you when you just, have been busy and doing your things. And, so I thought, okay, I'll park that now. And I will just deal with what I can right now. So a month later, I started the chemotherapy treatment, and it was 12 sessions of chemo that I had to go through.
Wow. So what was your gut reaction to having cancer?
I kind of thought, part of me felt really irresponsible that I allowed myself to get to that place, given I have 2 kids. As a mom, you, at least, I come from Brazil, you were taught to go, like, you have to do everything for your children. Yeah. You have to put them first. You have to, but for me, it was like, okay, well, I can't believe I've done this. Now I might not even be there for them.
Oh.
Like, what kind of, like, well, this is just, I can't keep doing this. I have to put myself first. It was irresponsible to try to be perfect everything. I just need to be really good at work. I need to be a really good mom. I need to be a really good wife. I need to be a really good, friend. And like everything, all this pressure that I put on myself. Nobody put that pressure on myself. And I think it's, when you are, I can say that I was born disciplined, and I hate to say this, but I am a disciplined person. Yeah. But the problem with that is that, I am too disciplined. And, and I think people like me, you need to remind yourself that being too disciplined, it can be to the detriment of your health, your happiness, you being a good mom, a good wife, because we're so focused on, just doing things from one thing to another, And you get so caught up on that you just miss your whole life.
Yeah. Some really impactful words. And I'm just looking in the comments here, mom guilt. Mom guilt is a renewable resource that could power the earth for a week. Oh my God. For sure. Yeah, right? Yeah. That's where I'm like, everything you're saying today is like landing for me. We're in a season here in the US where it's the start of the school year, and there's just a lot of pressure and guilt, and anyway, it's a lot. So thank you for saying
and
that.
Also I thought that for like, I never cried in front of my kids. I was always strong. And I remember when they came to visit me after my emergency surgery, and my daughter, who was 4, it makes me want to tear up when I say this. She arrived in the hospital, and I was really trying to not cry. And she said to me, Mommy, what's that water in your eyes? And I thought, oh my God, she's 4 and she has never seen me cry. What kind of like thing I'm teaching her here? This is just not reality. Sometimes you have to cry, and it's okay. Sometimes life doesn't go our way, and we need to teach that to our kids, I believe. 100%. And I didn't want my daughter to become like who I was. I needed to teach her, and of course my son as well, to put themselves first.
Yeah. That is incredible.
So for me, there was that gut feeling. But, I think a lot of people say like, oh, but, you felt you almost like had this added pressure that you were so guilty about, not putting yourself first. But it's not that. I just took responsibility for what I had done. It was just like, okay, well, Angelica, clearly everything that you have done in your perfect way for the last 38 years, it hasn't worked out. Yeah. You've got to find a different way. You really have to find a different. You can't keep going on this train because we know where this train is going.
Yeah.
So for me, that was the gut feeling.
Yeah, I think the community here, I can see in the comments, also really relates to that.
Yeah, I want to show some of these comments. Zach says, Angelica, once again, your raw honesty, especially from your reflections, are invaluable for others. Thank you for sharing. You rock as a mom and a warrior.
Oh, thank you.
Jennifer says, I can most certainly can relate to this, Angelica.
Yeah, Jennifer, me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Angelica, before you were talking, you said you went through, did you say you went through 12 weeks of chemotherapy?
12 sessions of chemotherapy.
12
was
sessions.
Every other week. Yeah.
Oh,
so I had a PICC line, and I would go to the hospital on a Friday. I spent 5 or 6 hours there receiving the liquid gold. I think it's very important that despite all the press and the talks about chemotherapy, I read a book is called You Can Conquer Cancer, from a cancer survivor from 1975 who had bone cancer and he came back and he amputated his leg, and he's in Australia actually, and it's an amazing story. And I used to go to the hospital thinking, oh my God, this chemotherapy is killing me. Oh my God, there's so much poison. Oh my God. And as soon as I read his book, and he said, whatever choice you make, you've got to make peace with your choice. It's important that when you sit at that chair, you go, this is liquid gold. This is saving me. And from that moment, I just had so much, I came to peace that was my decision. That's what I did, and that was what I was going to do and finish. Because I think there's so much pressure, as soon as you tell people I've got cancer, they go, oh, and then you say, I'm going to do chemo, they go, oh, which is such a not helpful reaction.
Right.
Totally.
And you're like, thank you.
Yeah. Add it to the list of awkward moments. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. And so I'll come home with a little pump that would be injecting chemo in my system for 48 hours until Sunday. It was pretty full on. So in the natural world, my the chemotherapy that I had, it's called 5FU, and in the natural world they call it 5 feet under. Not a very nice name, but that's how it is. I mean, I understand, and I've read so much about conventional and natural, and I have a very good understanding of what I did. But I think for me, it was very important to take control of what I could control and change everything that I could along the way. So by the time I finished the 12th session, I had a beautiful oncologist nurse that would always look after me. And he said, wow, Angelica, this is so great. You finished the treatment, it's so great to finish the 12 sessions. And I said, why? Like, nobody else finished the session? Like the 12 sessions? Not really. In 8 years of oncology, I've seen 4 people being able to finish this treatment. And I'm like, why? And he said, well, because it's a little rough and they start feeling unwell and finish the treatment. And I was like, oh, it would have been helpful to know that at the beginning. No, I'm just joking.
Better not to know.
Yeah, exactly.
Better not to know. Wow. So Angelica, you had conventional treatment, the chemotherapy, but you also made some changes to your habits, both physical and emotional. So tell us a little bit about that, and how important do you think it was to your overall health?
It was everything. It was absolutely a game changer. So I started changing my diet because it was the easiest thing, right? Like I started kind of devouring books on nutrition and cancer, just nutrition in general, nutrition and living a long life. For me, it was all about, okay, I'm just going to erase everything that is on my board and I'm going to start all over again.
Wow.
And slowly I started changing my diet alongside with my kids and husband. I did not only change my diet, I changed their diet as well. And so basically, organic foods, whole foods, plant-based, and just really focusing. I remember being so focused on each mouthful because I had 2 weeks to recover from one session to another. And at the beginning, I had many delays, like your platelets are low, your white cells, and all of that.
Yep.
And I knew that food was going to help me, and it did. So instead of getting weaker and weaker with each chemotherapy session, I got stronger and stronger.
Oh.
And I was able to finish treatment feeling stronger than I started. I also exercise, and I exercise a lot, and I exercise, when I was having a good day, I exercised hard. I went for it. So it was very much like every day I would wake up, I did not work. I stopped working for the time. And I think that was really important to really, take that time to focus on myself fully. And I would wake up in the morning and I would be, what will I eat today that would heal my body? And I would just be focusing on that. What will I listen today to help my mind? And what will I do today, like to heal my soul? And I would just be doing this every day, day in, day out for 7.5 months. I started meditating, doing yoga, and really diving into, all the issues that I had, emotional issues around, holding on to anger, being addicted to stress, and really kind of going down that whole, you can say like almost like it's a rabbit hole because there's no end to it. There's so much, you have to, or work that you have to undo. Like, what, I need a new person here. So slowly I started changing everything that I did, being very conscious about every thought. And every day that I changed those small habits, the effects of it started compounding big time.
Wow. Yeah. The power of your mind really affects your body. Wow.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. And just a quick follow-up question. Do you think you replaced the intensity of like your work and your attention on your children with like this intensity on yourself? That's what I'm hearing.
Okay. So I'm a person, I am a focused person, like I am, like I said, for me, it was like a project. I saw myself as a project. Like I need to, change my life. And there is nobody that is going to do that work for me. But when you say about intensity, like I was very much connected to my body, and I am still very much connected to my body. I would spend a lot of the days in bed all day. Chemotherapy is brutal. Like what I went through was like the first session, I couldn't get out of bed for 5 days. It was no joke. Wow. Like I'm not going to paint that it was an easy journey here because it wasn't. Yeah. But when so some days I only had energy to prepare my food. So when I say small habits, I'm talking about like some days I had just energy enough to go around the block, but I did it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And guess what? That was so important. That was so important for my body. That was so important for my mental health. That was so important for my spiritual health because I felt nauseous 24/7.
Oh.
I didn't feel very well, and I had like a 1 minute relief just after I ate something. And every side effect that you have, you go to the oncologist and they go, okay, so any side effects? You got any constipation, diarrhea? And you go like, oh, I've got constipation. They go, okay, here we go, another pill. Have you got any pain? Here we go. Look, they have to. That's the work that they're doing, and I, my oncologist said to me, you are young. There is no family history, it's not genetic. I'm going to give you the strongest chemo your body can take because that's my job. So I feel blessed for everybody that came in my life. I'm not here to say the conventional medicine, of course there is lots of things that they need to improve, but he was doing the best he could. So, absolutely. But as soon as he would say that, you can just, here we go, another medication. I would come home and I would research, what can I eat, to help me with that.
Wow.
So there was so small changes. And yes, I read a ton of books and I really focused on my healing. And I started putting myself first. But if I hadn't done that, like after the 12 sessions, my body would have been like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Wow.
So everyone, we are here on Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer with Angelica Alen as our guest today. And she got up super early for this show. So definitely show her lots of support in the comments. And let us know if you have any questions for Angelica in the chat. So Angelica, what role has your family played in your cancer journey? And how did you tell your children that you had cancer?
It was tough telling the children. The hospital really helped us with giving us some books to explain exactly what was happening. We didn't want to lie. We wanted to be real because, I went from this person being, to being in bed a lot of the time. So they saw that. And, we told them, look, mom's going to go through treatment. It's going to be really tiring. I'm not going to feel very well sometimes. It is serious, but, we are doing the best we can. And we kind of really kept in communication with them. I ended up in hospital for a week, like literally almost dying during treatment, which was very, very hard. I had a bleeding that did not stop, and they could not stop the bleeding. And it was hard because the kids couldn't come in the cancer ward. Afterwards, I took them to see a psychologist to make sure that they were okay. And my daughter is still, sometimes she feels like, I can't sleep because I keep thinking that, you and dad might die, and what am I going to do? And my brother, where are we going to go? So, they were very, very young. They were 6 and 4. My son doesn't remember that much. But for me, it was very important that they saw me doing everything I could each day to survive. For me, I just, if anything happened to me, I needed them to have an image of me. She tried everything that she could.
Oh. Well, I'm certain you inspired them, and I'm certain you set an example that will sit with them for a very long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
and my husband, I must say that my husband was amazing. He looked after me for 7.5 months. He was incredible. He did everything. We don't have any family in Australia, so it was very difficult for him. He was working, looking after the kids, looking after me. And he's just my rock. He's the love of my life for sure. Yeah.
Oh. Okay. Shout out to all the husbands and caretakers and supporters out there.
Totally.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Angelica, no matter how much it sounds like that journey was challenging for you, what do you think was the silver lining in all of it?
Gosh, so many. I think for me it was just waking up to life. Just becoming conscious about creating the life that I wanted to live. Being courageous enough to say no to things that didn't serve me anymore and creating a new version of myself. And really walking back to myself again, to my body. Like I said, I have such a strong connection with my body today. When I say this, I can feel in my body. I've never lost that connection. I keep, I practice all my habits every day, like just in a better way and more efficient way these days. I really vouch for myself. I will never fall into the same trap again, and I will keep putting myself first. So for me, it was really, and letting go of all the anger, the resentment that was so toxic for my physical body, for my emotional body, mental. And I think, now that I work with people, I see so many people have difficulties in letting go, their story. And, we all have gone through things that were far from ideal.
Yep.
Perhaps in the societal terms, some more than others, but we were never promised to come here and have a perfect life, and everybody, we're all gonna go through something, and it's a matter of how we react to things. And for me, before was reacting with anger, resentment, stress. Now I've really focused on how am I reacting to this.
That's amazing. I mean, I know we've just met, Angelica, but I cannot imagine you as somebody holding on to anger and resentment. You really have transformed. That's not the vibe I think all of us get here. So kudos to you for doing the hard work to let go of those things. And I know that's not easy.
Yeah.
Tim, we had a question I see from
Yeah.
Zach. Yeah. Do you want to?
Yeah, we actually have
one?
2 questions, but let's start with
got it.
Zach. Zach says, my cousin has not told her children how serious her cancer is. She is hoping her treatment study she hopes to get in will help her before she needs to tell them. What do you think about that?
I would say it depends also like how old they are. I think being honest with you, I think it's important because, and you know, even the word cancer, if you know, if they're really little, for us was about, you know, the books that we got from the hospital, they talk about like the shock chemo and things like that. You know, the word cancer, it's a little bit tricky because you don't want them to go to school and say like, my mom has cancer, and somebody says to them, oh yeah, my granddad died of cancer. And you're like, and then all of a sudden your kid is freaking out. But of course, if they are a little, you know, 9 and 10 and 11, you know, they're more aware, they're going to know that it's something very serious. I think that an open communication is best. It's, you know, and I think it's coming back to what I kind of said before, you know, showing my daughter that, you know, women don't cry and that you have to be strong all the time. It's not the reality of life. You know, my kids are so, you know, much better as a result of it. You know, they can come here and give a nutrition class to everyone. You know, they know all about it. They, you know how important it is to exercise. I don't have to tell them. They wake up and they see me doing it. So, you know, they do it because they know. And I explain to them, you know, why I had it, you know, why I got sick and things like that. So I think an open communication would be the best at the level of their maturity. You know, using the words, and there's so much resource out there that can cater for that, I think.
Yeah, those are great points, right? And we're each at a different point in our journey when we're diagnosed and those kind of things. There's another question I want to bring up. Somebody says, what sort of resources should we be advocating for to help patients gain your perspectives?
Great question.
Yeah.
So do you mean what resources like that I believe that will be helpful for patients, or just my own resources?
That's what it sounds like.
Or it'll be helpful for, yeah.
I guess what kind of resources were helpful for you in your, you know, when you were diagnosed? Yeah.
Look, I think if people, they are going through cancer treatment, if they did like and I don't want to say the bare minimum, but if they just focus on changing their diet and exercising, there is a lot of research that well, the diet is a little bit hard because, you know, that could mean so many things. But, you know, I really believe in the plant-based diet for a cancer patient. I don't think it's the answer for everybody. But exercise, there's a lot of research these days on exercise as well. So, you know, and look, there is, I sat on a conference about, you know, what should we do to help people to, you know, change their lifestyle, you know, around the cancer. You know, it can get so complicated in conventional medicine. You know, we had a room full of physiotherapists and nutritionists saying like, but we don't know what exercise we should give them. And, you know, like go for a walk around the block, you know, like don't overcomplicate things, you know, cook meals at home from scratch. You know, don't overcomplicate things, you know, like that's, if you did that, I think you will really feel a massive difference in your health, even though you're going through cancer treatment. My diet is now a lot more stricter than it was during the treatment. Like, so do you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be, because I wanted to change together with my kids. I didn't want to just change everything overnight. So even if you make small changes, will definitely compound into a massive impact.
Right. Thank you so much for sharing. And I just want to acknowledge a few people who have shown up recently. Scott Samuel is here, so thank you for being here. Maria is here. Thank you for showing up. Yeah, thank you, 𝗬𝗟𝗏𝗧𝗂𝗧 is here. Thank you for being here, Mark.
Hi,
Thanks
Mark.
for all your comments. So Angelica, I'm curious, when did you start sharing your cancer story, and why did you start sharing it?
So I went back to my normal corporate job after cancer treatment. Was a eating treatment, and everything that I did, surgery and everything. And I thought, I just need to go back to normal life and see how I fit in again. And it's like almost like after you have a baby, you kind of have to go back to work. This is it, normal life. And I worked in recruitment for 10 years, so it wasn't just a job. I loved what I used to do. But as I started working, I didn't feel fulfilled anymore. And that, became another part of my healing. I'm like, I can't come into work every day and not feel happy. And besides, you spend your whole day speaking to people that are not happy, right? Because that's what recruiters do, and I'm not happy about
totally.
my job. I know. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't do this. And, for me, it was very apparent that I needed to heal that part of my life, that I needed to be doing something that got me excited every day, that I was happy about. So I started doing interviews on YouTube with cancer patients because I wanted people to know that there was a light at the end of the tunnel. People that, have done different things and conquered in different ways. And then the more I did that, the more I got excited about sharing my story. And because the cancer world can be so negative, and it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be like that. I mean, I truly believe now we're all gonna die, and we're gonna die of something.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a matter of like what we do and how we respond to whatever we're given. And cancer is just one of the things.
Yeah.
You could argue that having, diabetes is, is bad. You're still taking medication every day. You're having poor quality of life, and all of that. So it's just that the energy, and I saw Scott saying, sometimes it's too much for close friends or family. I mean, it's really, really difficult. Some people can't take your own diagnosis. And for me, it was very important that I didn't spend any time or energy trying to consult them, because I didn't have that time or energy during my treatment. So I think that's a very important part of the, the process. So anyway, back to the question. So then I started sharing my the interviews, and I thought, I just kind of really had an epiphany. I need, to help that old version of myself, that for that person not to get there. It was really important for me that, I could save somebody not to go through what I did. The chemotherapy, all the suffering that comes physical and emotional for you, for your family. And I started sharing my journey part-time, still like, not sure what I was doing. And then we went on holidays for our summer break, and I felt so much energy by doing that work during my holidays that I thought, that's it, I'm going to go back. I told my husband I'm going to resign, and he's like, really? And I was like, really? I'm not a person that needs too much planning when I make a decision in my head.
Just go for it.
So yeah, so 0 clients, 0 plan, and I just went for it. And yeah, it's been such a blessing. I've been able to help so many people around the world with different things. It's not only about cancer, a lot of physical issues, emotional, mental issues as well. And for me, it's all about helping them to do what I did, which is changing their habits. Because once you start changing your habits, you change who you are, and what you think, and what, how you react to life. And the more you do that, the more you become, this new version of yourself that is more conscious, that is, embrace health and happiness and joy, and start creating the life that you want.
Yeah. Wow. The power of choice, right?
Yes.
Speaking of choices, it sounds like you've chosen to celebrate along the way. So how have you celebrated your wins in the cancer journey?
This was a really interesting question. Like when I was preparing, I thought, wow, what should I say about that? I had a pick line. and I couldn't have a shower, or I couldn't go in the water, and I'm a water baby. So we have a pool, so I couldn't go in the pool. So when they took my PICC line in, I went in the pool and I stayed under for as long as I could.
Soak it all in.
I know. I was just like, oh, this is just so good.
Yeah. Well, it's like today's quote here: "Enjoy the little things," right?
Exactly.
Like just being underwater. Yeah, when you couldn't.
Yes.
Yep.
Love it.
And going to the beach and going in the sea, which was amazing as well. But we also went to Europe as a family. We hadn't gone back to Europe for 10 years since we moved to this side of the world. I don't know. I think when I looked at that question, for me, it was celebrating, being grateful every day. You know, I think for me that became a practice, and it still is. And putting things into perspective, it's something that I practice as a habit. It's so easy to get caught up in, oh, you know, I want this to happen, I want that to happen. What about this? What about that? And forget all about, you know, how grateful we should be for everything that, we are experiencing this life.
Yeah. I think gratitude is an important part of celebration. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. So Angelica, this is the last question, and this is the question we ask every week on every show. So Angelica, what is your perspective on cancer in one word?
Embrace is my word.
Embrace.
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 What do you mean by that?
You know, people talk about cancer a lot about, you know, we have to fight cancer. I never fought my cancer. I was tired of fighting. I was exhausted of fighting. And that does not resonate with me at all. For me, it was about embracing the cancer as being an opportunity for me to see what was wrong in my life and what I need to change. It was an opportunity. And I know sometimes it's really hard to see it like that. But once you see it like that, and once you surround yourself with stories of people that have seen it like that, I believe, you know, anybody can conquer cancer.
Wow. Yeah. I'm with you, Zach. I thought #embrace. That's really, really powerful and beautiful, Angelica.
What about
Tim?
you, Erica?
Oh, yeah. As I say. Well, the word that came to me before you said embrace was related, but it was more, the word that just came to mind was holistic. And what I mean by that is, you know, I heard you talk a lot about, you know, obviously the conventional therapies, but then there was dietary changes and mental health changes and releasing anger. And it was not just, you know, sort of the conventional piece. So for me, it was like this holistic story of all parts of those were important to your healing journey. And so that's the word that landed for me today. And I, you know, again, stress and fear and all of the things, compassion, empathy. It was my word's holistic this week. Thank you, Angelica, for inspiring that.
All right, that's beautiful. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you get to embrace all of it, right? And the good, the bad, the ugly.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
#embrace.
And embrace change.
Oh.
Ooh, mic drop.
Yes, exactly. That's the mic drop. There's always at least one.
Yes.
Tim, what's your word this week? Are you sticking to your same word or are you changing?
This week I'm going back to community, because community is how this conversation happened today. Yeah. So I'm going back to community because our previous guest and Angelica is here because of that, and this community every week just shows up, and something magical just happens here every week when we all show up for each other. And so I'm sticking with community.
You get to do that. And actually, I would say the community this week really came up strong and celebrated each other and you, Angelica. And I've really enjoyed the comments. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for contributing your voice.
Yes, awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much.
And thank you, Angelica. Wow. I personally will speak for myself. I feel changed. I feel woken up, right? A little bit. And so we heard from 𝗕𝗢𝗘𝗏 last week, you know, you got to change one person at a time. So I can confirm you've done that. Thank you, Angelica.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Angelica.
Take care.
All right. What a conversation, Erica.
Yeah. I got some goosebumps on that one, you know, like I just think her words and how articulate she was about the grace that you get to give yourself and others along the journey is really powerful.
Yes, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
And the comments are still coming in. Zach says, thank you for this great conversation.
I love you, people.
Yes. Tom says, thank you, Angelica, Tim, and Erica. Thank you, Tom, for showing up. So we are always looking for guests who want to be on the show, no matter what your connection is to cancer. So send me a direct message if you are interested on being on the show. Also, a reminder to show up in person for the in-person Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer event coming up on November 5th in Pennsylvania. You can go to perspectivesoncancer.com to sign up for free, no cost for that event. Erica, who is our guest next week?
Next week, we will be talking to Howard Brown. He is a 2-time cancer survivor, and he's got a new book out called Shining Brightly. And it is just going to be phenomenal. Howard has a lot of insights and just some really powerful stories in his book and in his words. So join us next week. Let's come out to support Howard and, of course, support each other.
Definitely. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in to another episode of Showing Up Perspectives on Cancer. And it's that time. It's time to dance. So, guys, get to it. Let's dance.